Hello all and welcome to Tuesday Q&A. I am your host Roland. Today, my expert Ursinity, right
Hello.
Over here. How are you?
I am grand.
Grand.
Yep. I don't have a better response. I'm trying to think of the words that I've used recently as response. I know I used dandy and talked about how great that is as like an occasional response.
Occasional.
But I don't think I've said grand yet. Grand's a good one too.
Grand is good, although honestly, I think of 100 grand bars. I don't even like them. I just think of the 100 grand bars.
I think I've
grand.
seen those like once in my life. I've definitely never had one. I don't know what that is.
It's like a Rice Krispie chocolate treat. It's I don't know how you would describe 100 grand. I think it's called a 100 grand bar. Definitely gonna cost 100 grand to get open heart surgery if you eat enough of them. But anyway, we're doing our first live show, and it's pretty exciting. We have finally made that transition. I'm excited. We're going to have a lot of events coming up. DotP is growing up a little bit. Ursi, believe it or not, for those who are not watching live, Ursi is wearing a tie. He looks sharp. He looks smart.
Yeah. I mean, I like wearing ties. This is not a rare occurrence. I mean, it's rare right now because I'm not like in a school, but I like wearing ties. My policy is that if I have to get dressed up like in a dress shirt, I may as well wear a tie.
Exactly.
I like wearing ties. I have a nice little tie collection.
I have one of those tie things that you...
Yep. I don't have one of the mechanical ones, but I have it's like a specifically made tie rack that I got for some birthday or graduation or something.
Yeah, it's from like a distant aunt or something like that just doesn't know your interests, so instead buys you a tie rack.
No, none of my like aunts and uncles get me gifts. That's like a foreign concept to me. People are like, "Oh, I got this for my aunt." I'm like, dude, I wish my aunts give me that stuff. I don't even get things from my godparents. Like we're just like
I don't even
get
have
stuff
godparents, so that is a gift.
I barely get stuff from my like regular parents.
Well, it's gonna teach you a good lesson about life, kid. Okay.
It makes me really bad at buying gifts for other people. Basically, because I'm like, I don't know. Like, I get clothes as gifts, and that's great because like my mom has really good taste in clothes. But yeah, I don't have the experience. I'm like, oh, I gotta buy a gift for somebody, and I'm just at a loss.
Exactly. Luckily, when you get married one day, or when you grow up and you get big, you'll meet a girl or whoever, whatever and you'll have her buy the gifts or the other significant other. That's the best thing about getting married is I don't buy gifts for anybody. She does, but she puts my name on it and it's great. All I have to do is sign a card. And I've gotten really good with my signature.
That's why I love gift registries. Because I'm just like, I can just buy you what you want exactly. Or like if I know the people well, or like Secret Santa, because then if you get a bad gift, it's fine because it's like a Secret Santa, whatever. Although I did win Christmas this year with my Secret Santa gift. No joke. I had the best gift for my cousin, and like I stole the show. It was great.
Well,
it was free.
We all know you're the best at Christmas. You're definitely the best at Christmas. Of all people who celebrate Christmas, Urzi is the best at it, right?
I'm the best at 2016 Holland Family Secret Santa. I'll say that.
What did you just like nail the gift for your cousin? Just like perfectly. What'd you get? Who's your cousin?
So,
what's his interest? What'd you get?
Well, my cousin, who owns 2 bars in Brooklyn, they have that sports bar aesthetic. Okay. And so I got him from my job because I work for a sports memorabilia company. I got him a really cool like from the 50s. Framed poster that it's like an advertisement for a Atlantic football station, and it's like this minimalist aesthetic, and it's like a 16 by 20 poster in like a nice wooden frame that like despite being from the 50s was still really like well preserved, and it looks great. I wanted it for myself, but I was like, I have nowhere to put this, and so I got it for him, and I got it for free because I work there, and I've worked up some favors through the years, and yeah, I mean it's like a couple $100 piece, but my boss is like, take it, whatever, I don't care. Mm-hmm. And so it was perfect, and like it impressed him, and
did he cry?
It was great.
Were there tears at your Christmas?
No, Nope, but his wife also thanked me. That's how good it was.
Wow.
Also, she got me my present, which was great too. But mine was a little better to
Was it,
her husband.
what was it, a bouncy ball?
No, she got me like a set of homemade, or not homemade, but like specialty hot sauces that
Oh.
her friend who owns like a deli that also doubles as like a hot sauce place makes. It was really good. They are really good. They are currently really good.
Was it FYM hot sauce?
I actually own FYM hot sauce. I got the sampler, and those are really good too. They're like a little different though. To like one is more like challenge hot sauces where like they're so hot it's like, oh god, can you put this? And then the FYM are like really tasty on their own. But that being said, they're both really good because like I have enough of a tolerance. But yeah, I'm all about it. It was good. It was a good Christmas.
Yeah, that's
Anyway.
good. That's real good. Christmas is terrible if you have a newborn. Tell you that much.
Oh, I can imagine.
People, they love life, dude. It's weird. It's like everybody is like a vampire or some sort of. Then they're just like, oh my god, that's life, and I need more of it because it's just the clock keeps ticking, and they just like want to touch my baby. And so we didn't go anywhere for Christmas and made people come to our house.
Yeah, my cousin, one of my other cousins, actually had a kid like within a days of your wife or slash you having a kid. So they also did the same thing, and they just didn't show up to anything. They FaceTimed our party. That was their plan.
Oh, nice. Good for them. It was great.
But yeah.
Christmas was the best. It was the best Christmas I've had since I was a kid. Because when you're a kid, it's great. You get presents. You're under this magical allure that there's this guy in the sky that brings you presents. You know, you wake up and there are things under the tree that weren't there before. You know, if you celebrate Christmas, that is. Hanukkah sounds a lot better of a deal, in my opinion. But, I mean, even Kwanzaa sounds like a pretty damn good time. But, you know, then you grow up and you're like, oh, God, obligations. And then you get married and you're like, oh, God, twice the obligations. Then you have a kid and you're like, oh, we're really worried that the kid might be sick if he's around that many people at once. And then you just sit in your pajamas and you watch TV and you enjoy not being around people, which is great.
I'm all about it. My my family, like our household, is like the household that doesn't come to everything. So I very frequently just stay home on holidays. But this year I had to come to things. But anyway, I don't know how we got into like being a Christmas podcast, despite being like multiple weeks of podcasts after Christmas. But this is a good catch up.
It is. Is this the first we've done an episode since after? Did we just not talk about Christmas? Or
Yeah, I mean, it's been what, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks and change.
All I know is on January 20th is the big one I'm worried about. So
yeah, I feel you.
Enough said there.
Although January 17th is a great date because CLC is having a comeback and Cube Entertainment is awful, but they're gonna make CLC great again.
What is CLC?
No pun intended. It's a K-pop group. They're great. They're a rookie group.
A rookie group. What's a rookie group where it's like they can't get their dancing correct? Like
no, they're
the
just new.
Really?
Usually, like you're considered a rookie group for like your first year technically, but like any group that's debuted in the first couple years or the recent couple years, they actually might technically not be a rookie group, but they're great. Highly recommend. Their new concept looks awesome. Anyway.
Well, I've caught up with you enough, that's for sure.
Yeah. K-pop is a good way to end conversations. I found that
Definitely caught up with you to the K-pop part. And that's when you know that all conversation has been lost and it's time to escape. Although Ursinity I will say he did show me some K-pop and I tried to keep an open mind, but my ears started bleeding and so I had to stop. They didn't start bleeding, it was just like, really? And you're like, I know it's not for everybody, but let me show you another song. And I was like, no, thank you.
It comes in gradations. I'll say that. It really depends. Cause so we went, at the Boston Major, Skrunk, friend of the show. He listened, we went to a Korean restaurant and they had a song playing that is like a very American pop-esque song, despite being like K-hip hop / K-pop. It's kind of thing like if I put it on, you wouldn't notice, but also like the kind of the stuff I like is like the super like bubblegum pop stuff. So it really varies greatly. I'll say that to my credit. It's good. Trust me.
I'm
you
sure
just gotta like listen to the right stuff.
I'm sure it is. Well, we are Tuesday Q&A, where we answer questions regarding Dota, mostly. Sometimes we get questions about Cyphus and if he actually plays Dota, if he's good at Dota, and if his ways of communicating in Dota are the correct ways of doing so. Anyway, our first call-in is Mini Ninja. His MMR is 2100. Mini Ninja, what is your question, sir?
Hey, how's it going? I was wondering, with 7.0 seems to emphasize fighting more and more. Do you think subsequent patches will do that as well, and do you guys like that?
Fighting more.
I mean, so that's two questions. First of all, we're doing grand. We established that. Second question, yeah. I mean, I definitely see the fighting meta staying, right? Like, something I'm not super fond of, honestly. I like the relax, farm a couple items metagame, but
me too.
Once we're adapted to it, it's getting better, honestly.
Is it? I don't know. So here's my take on it all. Is it's fighting. Okay, it's a super fighting meta. And then you lose all your outer towers, you lose your shrines, and then it turns into super aggressive and then super turtle slugfest. And I would rather just have it be fight to the end or just not at all. Like, because you have early aggression up to a point, right? And if you can't crack high ground, it just turns into an hour and 10-minute long game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, we've already had that like argument right over long games versus short games, but I think probably my biggest problem with the like super fighting meta is just a lot of the heroes I dislike playing against, or I guess dislike playing with, are these like heroes like Spirit Breaker that flourish in this meta game. Like Spirit Breaker is honestly like one of the best heroes this patch, in my opinion, at least in the 4 position. So it's just like this constant fighting. Like I just want to like farm, and like because it hurts highly mechanical players, right? Like I know Roland, like one of your things is like
just
yeah, and like on one level, like I'm trying to think. Like on one level, it advantages very mechanically skilled players because, like, in all the chaos, you if you're still getting CS, like that's a real advantage. Whereas somebody that's weak mechanically and weak under pressure is going to be getting nothing. But if you're like a super mechanical player that's like, all right, at 53 seconds, I'm going to pull and I'm going to, frostbite this one and I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And then like a Spirit Breaker comes to your lane and you're just like screwed and you're just like chicken with his head cut off running around. Like that really hurts those hyper mechanical strategic players. But it's really good for like players that are very like instinct, like game sense. So I wouldn't say I'm bad at this meta. It's just like not what I particularly like. And I do think this is a meta to continue, right? Because people like to fight. It's not for me, but it's apparently. Fun. But I feel like
you would play 90-minute Naga Siren games every game if you could.
Oh, so please, yeah.
I mean, I agree. I think they're fun to split up your illusions. I will say that in subsequent patches, we will see, because the rating advantage is an issue, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously, I'm sure their developers are like, "What the fuck? How do we fix it? We need to fix it." So, I'm curious to see. In the new patches, they're definitely going to try and fix that. I mean, that's probably top priority to figure out, first and foremost, exactly why Radiant has such a high advantage. Because I feel like there's a lot of speculation and not a ton of fact. Mm-hmm. And once they do figure that out, I feel like it may inadvertently change this early fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, the Radiant advantage. So I listen to your Monday shows. Entertaining listening to a solo podcast.
It was hard.
Oh yeah, I feel you. I've tried to like. I mean, even when I'm like doing replay reviews, sometimes actually that's not true. There's usually too much to talk about. But talking just by yourself for an hour is an experience. If I'm used to it, like through like training to be a teacher, right? It's pretty easy and natural now. But for a lot of people, I imagine that's not something that not an experience you've had before. I lost my train of thought completely.
That's okay. I want to ask Mini Ninja what he thinks. Mini Ninja, do you like the meta and the fighting?
I like it up to a point. Like when there's like a pudge in the game and he starts getting all those flesh heap stacks and stuff, it's really annoying. But I think they'll try and keep forcing the more fighting because I think it probably appeals to new players more.
Yeah, it's fun to watch.
Sitting around in a racing game with like 3 kills in it.
Yeah. I know, like, a lot of times people...
That's a fun game. When you're on Anti-Mage, you can get that 7 slots,
Oh, yeah. Well, I
eating
think,
moonshine.
I mean, this is going to sound a little conspiracy theory-esque, but like they balance. So Ice Frog balances the game around the pro scene, right? He doesn't balance around pubs unless something is super like bad in either direction. However, in the with these super fighting metas, they're fun to watch, right? So it builds viewership for tournaments and stuff like that, and it leads to a lot of like big plays and stuff like that. So that's good for the game in the pro sense, right? And like a lot of people get into the game because they watch something like TI or they watch something like a big ESL or whatever, and that's like a good sticking point for Dota. Is like you can watch it and like kind of like CS:GO, right? Like CS:GO is easy to watch because it's just like action, 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 and obviously it has a lot of other things to go into it. But like somebody that's viewing Dota for the first time, they would love to see, I imagine, like some intense fighting, just like particle effects, stuff's blowing up, whatever. Compared to like being like, oh man, that Naga Siren's so efficient. Oh man, look at that AM tread switch in the middle of that fight. I can't believe you got that blink. Like that's stuff that we like as like players of the game and experienced watchers and players.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not something that's super accessible to like either a newer player or somebody that's just watching it like to see like, oh, what is Dota?
Yeah, just watching it, it's definitely better. Hey, Minnie, thank you so much for your question, and I wish you a great day, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope things get fixed. We've got a ton of questions tonight, so we need to be burning. We need to be burning and churning and running through them.
It's like a lightning round. Some are quite quick, though.
It is. And Denny, if you hear me, we need a good or garbage. I can't believe we didn't even think of good or garbage. I need like 10 questions for
week.
We need a good or garbage. All right, this question comes from...
just do it on the Monday show.
Because
like
it has to involve you.
Yeah, but like I come on for 15 minutes. I don't do anything on a Sunday.
That's true. That would be cool. Ursinity joins the Monday show for good or garbage. I like that. Hey,
yeah.
Full ideas. Okay, so
that's how it was pitched to me.
This question's from Kruger. It says, as a 4 or 5 role support, how do you value your bounty runes versus a counter jungler? For example, a Riki or bounty hunter stealing them. How much effort would you put into stopping that versus letting them have the rune?
I wouldn't stress over it. Right? Like you want to get them obviously, but if you're doing something, I wouldn't go out of my way. Like, so just to propose a situation that you would frequently get into, if it's, becoming 4 minutes, let's say, and so far you've been doing a great job zoning the offlaner because you're playing Bane, let's say, and you're slapping him, and then your brain slapping him when he tries to contest you, and you're keeping him out of XP range. He's still level 1 at 4 minutes. If the enemy team is like a bounty hunter or a treant or something that's getting your bounty rune, it's probably not the end of the world, right? Because he's going to get whatever it is, 50 XP, 50 gold, plus 4 times 2 times the minutes of the game. So I would right. So I guess to bring this into a more general idea, everything in Dota is opportunity cost, correct? Like opportunity cost is what I think of anytime you make any action, right? So the opportunity cost of going to get that 4-minute rune, let's say, is now the enemy Slardar is going to go from level 1 and no XP to level 1 and 100 XP, let's say. Or he's going to be able to get CS if it's somebody like that, or they can position well or whatever. So if you're doing something important, then yeah, probably don't go and bother to get the rune. On the other hand, if you're not doing anything, if you're just like sitting around in the woods, like sure, yeah, I mean, why not?
Just be there first, I would say. If you're just sitting around in the forest, just make sure you're standing on top of it, right clicking over and over and over at like 1 minute and 59 seconds, right?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so one more write-in. This is a longer one. It's from the Piper 8813. He says he's an 1800 MMR, fallen from the graces of 2050 MMR. And he has a question about the role of supporting of a support player in the late game. With talent trees helping support scale much better into the late game, what exactly should I be doing as my carries are 5 to 6 slotted and doing the whole carry thing? Should I still be trying to stack camps? Should offense or defensive warding be my main objective? In team fights, I know I should be throwing my spells, but usually the other team has BKB, and my spells are pointless unless I wait for BKB to be down, and then I'm usually dead because I'm the lowly support in a team fight. How do I prioritize when to cast, when to right-click, when to wait behind the carry? How about items for the late game support at a sub 2k MMR? I'm going to go to his TLDR. How do you prioritize what the support player should be doing in the late game, both with and without good farm?
Okay, so
I was like, there was like too many questions there. I had to go to the TLDR. It's like,
Yeah, well,
damn.
it's a logical string of questions, right? So just to break it down, thanks to the talent trees, and this varies from support to support, but now you do have options to scale. So similar to kind of the previous question, and I feel like I could just do an entire podcast series even on opportunity cost relative to each role. But if you're playing a support, right, like you still need to get things, right? So if he's in the situation, like you said earlier, where he's like the enemy team has BKBs and he's playing Lich and his spells are worthless, like you need to do something and get yourself to a point where you are doing something, right? So that means maybe going and jungling a camp instead of putting down a ward, or delaying your warding just by a little bit so that you can get that camp before like the 37-minute point where it's going to respawn. So stuff like that is where those little efficiencies, and I've talked about it a lot, and it's kind of key to my supporting, and this is something that my teammates used to complain about when I was a support player, but has done well for me in the pubs, is I just play a little greedier support, right? So if you're playing Rubik and you're in a safe lane dual lane, because normally I have a roamer in this metagame, and you have a Juggernaut on your team, like he hopefully if he's good, he's going to go jungle camps every so often if you push the lane too far. And you can now take some CS in the lane, take some XP in the lane. Alternatively, you can, if he goes to gank or if he dies or something, you can take the lane XP or whatever during that. It's actually more applicable to mid lane. Mid lane's a better example. If you watch pro games and high level pubs, one of the big things about it, like strategically, is it's usually the 4, but sometimes the 5 will rotate to mid either to react to a gank on his mid laner or aggress on the other mid laner. And your mid laner very likely is going to go low, and let's say they have to go back to Shrine to heal or they die. You now have like 10 to 30 seconds. Yeah, take the lane, take a few hits, take a bit of XP,
you'll
right?
probably get a wave, and a wave's going to mean a lot to like a level 3, level 4 support, and that's, earlier game. That's not late game. I would say also late game as a support, make sure that you're getting an item that's going to help your team, because if the enemy team has a bunch of BKBs, get a 4-staff. I am so in the 4-staff camp, like no matter what, no matter who you're against, it's just such a good item. Like think about auras, think about items that are going to help your team, because maybe later in the game, those items are going to mean a lot more than your spells in some certain circumstances. Not always, of course, and the talent trees have added a lot of things. With BKBs, you have to wait. I would say as a support late game, never prioritize right-clicking unless you're Lich with the plus 150 damage.
Well, some 4s have right-clicking. Like Spirit Breaker is a good example. Like, you can get an Echo Saber or something. Like, it really depends on your hero. In general, you're going to go for defensive things and mobility things. That's a good general rule of thumb. I will say one of the important things to think about is certain items fall off at certain points and certain items don't. Right? So Glimmer Cape is an item that's going to be good all game. Whereas if you have a medallion, it's going to be good for a long while. But at a certain point, it's like, okay, a few less armor is not going to change when everybody has 20 armor, right? Like it becomes a negligible difference, whereas a Glimmer Cape is percentage based. Same thing with Mechanism, right? Mechanism, just if you think about it, it's going to be healing people for a much larger percentage of their total health pool early on in the game. Yeah. Whereas in the late game, it's like, okay, you heal through one hit from a Juggernaut. Okay, whoop-de-doo, So if it's like 40 minutes and you're finishing a Mechanism, don't. Like, who cares? Your Mechanism is not doing anything at 40 minutes. Unless you have Greaves.
Not doing enough, and for the cost.
Yeah, exactly.
Not doing enough for the cost, for sure.
Yeah. So if you're not getting a lot of money, invest it wisely. I think that's kind of what you have to think about, right? You don't want to buy all these ancillary things. And conversely, in the early game, when you don't have a lot of money, you need to invest in those cheap items that are super efficient, right? So if you're playing Roaming 4, Blightstone, Orb of Venom, those are super efficient, cheap items. Boots, Windlace, Raindrops, stuff like that.
Perfect. Okay, so we're now going to go into good or garbage. Are you ready?
Okay. I guess this is not on the Monday show.
No, it's not on the Monday show. I was just given a list. All right, let me get ready. And this is lightning round. There is no other answer I want from you, RC, other than good or garbage. Okay?
Of course.
Sanj and Yasha.
Good. I thought you were going to give it like a specific hero.
No. Shadowblade on Magnus.
Great. Good. Sorry. I treated.
And I disagree. Not building BKB
Oh.
against a Lion, Ember Spirit, Skywrath combo as Storm Spirit, even though your buddy Slardar is totally trying to carry your heavy Zip Zap ass.
Garbage.
No. Fuck you, Denny. The Golden Globes.
Well, good.
Octarine Core on Ember Spirit.
Good.
Garbage, you mean. Sven's
Great,
talent
no.
tree options.
I don't play that hero. But they are probably okay.
Good or garbage, Ursi?
Garbage.
Bitches who don't buy Dust Sentries versus Invis lineups.
Garbage.
Meryl Streep dress on the red carpet last weekend. Meryl Streep's dress. Going on a whole additional week without being 5K again.
Garbage.
Proud eating pizza on live recordings.
Garbage.
All right. You were wrong on 3 of those, by the way.
Which ones?
Shadowblade on Magnus.
Nope, not wrong.
I guess the question in itself was wrong. Buddy Slardar, who's totally trying to carry your heavy zip zap ass. That's also wrong because the Slardar was totally the worst player on the team. And Meryl Streep's dress on the red carpet last weekend. Okay, let's take another live caller here. Give me just a moment.
And while you're doing that, you're so wrong about the Shadowblade and Magnus thing.
Am I?
Yeah, dude, Echo Saber Blink Shadowblade or just Echo Saber Shadowblade is so good.
I thought it was like Blink all the way. All the way.
No, I mean it depends what you're playing, right? But nowadays people have been playing a more aggressive like core Magnus, where you just buy Echo Saber first, you invest a lot of points into Empower, and it lets you mid lane and like really do well. Whereas if you're playing like the classic offlane Magnus, you can get away with doing the like mana boots, blink dagger, force staff, refresher, that like classic utility thing. But Shadowblade, even if you're playing that, is just so effective because you can Shadowblade into a position that you know is warded. The enemy team feels safe because they're like, oh, he's not going to be here, and then you blink from the Shadowblade and then do your thing. It's really good, and Shadowblade's like super cheap.
So Shadowblade plus Blink Dagger, good or garbage? Good.
I mean, they're both individually good. Like, you can honestly just go Echo Saber Shadowblade, but having both is even better.
I think we'll bring on somebody who knows a little more about Magnus next time we ask that question. But
I play a lot of Magnus.
I know you do. All right, our next question is from Tulikard. His MMR is 1550. Tulik, what's your question?
All right, how you guys doing? Thanks for having me on again, by the way. Good to hear from you again, Ursi. Now, my question...
Whoa.
No, continue. He has priorities.
Good to hear from you too, Tulik.
After the great Tulik shaming of 2016, let that year rest in peace and allow me to move on. 4 therapy sessions later...
Oh, I'm a terrible jungler too. I was just, I was trying to take a high ground that I shouldn't have. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we've had this meeting. I think we can move on.
But
couples counseling.
I'm here too, But, okay, what's your question, Tulik?
I missed you, Roland.
I missed you too.
My question, however, is after said shaming, I've decided to try playing like a normal person so that people like me again, Roland. I am completely lost, however. I heard an episode a little while ago where you sort of ran through the list of what a core in whatever lane will sort of prioritize. Can you give me that for, say, a position 5, generally a famine position, since I'm a bit of an idiot when it comes to buying items? I just do wards and hope I don't feed.
Yeah, I mean, so whenever you're playing 5, right, like we were just talking about, you have to prioritize getting what you can and not trying to get stuff you can't, right? So in some games, you can just go like Mana Boots Blink Dagger. Like, let's take Rubik, I think, or like
Rubik,
maybe not Lion. Sure, Rubik.
Crystal Maiden, except
yeah,
for
those
Mana
are like
Boots.
the classic 5s, right?
Mm-hmm.
They do well both with farm and without it. And that's kind of what makes them perfect 5s. Mm-hmm. So in some games, you're going to want to just say, like, all right, I'm doing really well. We just won a couple team fights. I'm going to go Mana Boots, Blink Dagger. In other games, it's going to be like, all right, like, everything's going terribly. I have no farm. All my lanes are pushed, so I can't, like, get farm like we were talking about before. So that's when you're going to have to say, all right, I'm not going to be able to get a Blink Dagger, but I can buy a Force Staff, right? And while you want both of these items, situationally, you're going to want one over the other because you just can't hold on to money, right? So Blink Dagger, if you're dying constantly, 2250 gold is a lot of gold. But getting the parts for a Force Staff is pretty easy, right? 1,000 gold, it's a little hard to get. 900 gold, a little hard to get, but manageable if you win like a team fight.
And
or, you have a couple minutes unmolested.
Ring of Regen is great. I mean,
yeah,
it's a great... I remember when I first started playing, thinking like, what a garbage item. But I mean, it's basically having like half a tango on at all times.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I love picking that up early if I'm building a Force Staff.
The other big thing about being a 5, especially like you said, a poverty 5, is getting those small items that matter a lot. So like Windlace is probably the best example, right? It's only 250 gold, but it's incredibly efficient. You're going to keep it for a very long time. It's going to do a lot for you. Same thing with Clarities in the early game. Clarities are really efficient, like 50 gold to give you like hundreds of mana, because like since it lasts so long if you're not losing it, and now it's even better because you won't lose it in a lot of situations. They're very efficient. Like you could just ferry out Clarities to yourself. Like a lot of times I'll play like Rubik or something, and I just start with like Tango, Courier, 2 wards, and like 3 Clarities and like a branch or something. I
mean, every minute you can buy 2 Clarities if you whether you die or not, just from passive gold. So
yeah,
I mean, yeah, I think that's Force Staff, always Force Staff. What a dumb question from Tulik. Tulik, what a dumb question. I'm sorry. That was just horrible.
We starting at 2017 Tulik Gate?
No, I'm just joking. Tulik, what do you think about all that? I'm just joking about it being a dumb question.
Actually, I'm afraid I led you guys a little bit astray. I was meaning more towards what I should be doing. Now, I try to stay out of lane. I know we're running. You guys have a lot of questions and stuff, but just sort of, I was playing a game with SA and a few others in a stack, and I was lost as to what to do. I did my best, tried to stack. I'm still working on that, but I don't want to be in the lane. He was doing fine, didn't need protection, so I stayed out of experience range. But I kind of found myself just standing there. I didn't know how to fill my time to do anything really constructive.
Yeah. So
I have this issue too. I do. I have to ask Proud sometimes, what should I be doing?
Yeah, it's a common issue. I mean, even honestly, I run into it sometimes. So basically, like when you're playing a support, just like when you're playing anything else, right? You should have a checklist to go down and say, what should I be doing? What is already happening? And what would I like to be doing later, right? So probably the easiest example is you want to be zoning the offlaner. And that like has little subsections, right? Is can I zone this offlaner? A, because sometimes you just won't be able to. And B, is he already being zoned? Or C, is it a dual lane, whatever. So if you can zone them and they're not being zoned, go do that, right? And that'll get you some XP because you'll be on the periphery. But that'll also be negating, their ability to get XP. If you can't zone the offlaner, then you continue down that checklist, right? And you say, can I gank the mid, right? Do you have a mid that will be able to perform if you gank, right? So let's use Rubik again as the example. If you have a Rubik if you're playing Rubik, you have an Ember Spirit on your team, that's a great hero to gank his lane, right? Because he has a lot of kill potential. Same thing with a Shadow Fiend. But if you have like a PA that's level 3, probably not going to get much done, right? So that kind of gets nixed off your list. So basically you just want to decide like, all right, can I do something in my lane? Can I do something in a different lane? And then if yes, go to one of those lanes and do something. If no, don't do anything. Another good thing, especially if you're in a stack like you said you were, what I do frequently, or not anymore, but if you're playing support with something in the safe lane, just say like if you need XP, just say all right, push the lane a little, and then you could pull, and then get XP, get gold, and he can still get the XP and gold because he's pushing the lane, right? But then his pushing is negated by the fact that you're pulling, right? So if you're in a situation where you can't pull, just tell your safe lane like, hey, push a little, and then you've now made a situation where you could pull. Especially the hard camp, right? The timings are still the same for the hard camp pulls. It's still 23:53. So, and that will almost always, if you assist in denying, kill your entire wave. So you don't have to worry about like messing up the equilibrium. So basically, you just want to get done what you can do and react like with the checklist. Say like, all right, I can gank mid this game or I can't gank mid this game. First question, I can zone the offlaner or I can't zone the offlaner. And then do one or the other. Do we need wards? Then go ward, right? So it's just opportunity cost checklist, right? So It takes a lot of adjusting, honestly. Like it took me a long time of twiddling my thumbs in the jungle to find out like, okay, I'm just gonna pull and he'll figure it out, or I'm just gonna jungle a camp because I'm playing Spirit Breaker and I have 7 armor and I can easily take a camp, stuff like that.
Also, bounty runes. Make the trek over to their side if you see. So if you see everybody on the map, you're pretty safe to go and grab their bounty rune that just spawned. Yeah. If you don't know what to do, go get more gold for yourself. I find when I'm playing Lich a lot and I'm in that weird like laning phase where I don't want to steal experience, I just make sure people are on the map and that I can see them on my mini map, and then I go steal bounty runes. And it's a great way to get yourself the experience you need, the gold you need, and to climb up the item ladder.
Yeah. Also, I would say the easiest thing is just carry a TP and then pay attention to your minimap, which is always like first and foremost what you should be doing. But one of the ways I get the most farm and the most XP and the most usefulness out of a game in the early game is just keep a TP and watch your minimap, and either the off lane or the mid lane is very rarely gonna get ganked or gonna get aggressed upon or whatever, and just TP there, right? Your mid's getting gone on. It's gonna happen in most games. You're playing, Rubik again, let's say. TP right in, lift them, throw them away. Your mid laner's going to be happy. You're going to be able to get XP if they're nearly dead because they're going to have to run to a shrine or home. And you've saved their life. And potentially you could kill people in response, right? So that's like easy productivity, is just have a TP scroll and react to things.
And also Lich. I mean, you can just play a hero that has built-in mechanics to just... help a lot, and that's sacrifice, where you always will know what to do. Sacrifice something. Make sure that's constantly on cooldown. Go harass somebody with your Q. Lich is a good hero to kind of guide you along that path of prioritization of like that checklist that Ursi was talking about. Tulik, thank you for your question. Thank you for coming back on the show after me talking shit on your Monkey King jungle.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Anytime.
Okay, that's a good question, because I really do. I find myself all the time playing with Proud, especially when the averages are like 4K or something like that, or like 4.1, 4.2, where it's like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah,
like I bought
support's
wards,
support's a lot more situational in the early game compared to carries and stuff. Carries have that problem in the late game, right? Because the carry in the late game is like, oh god, should I be split pushing? Should I be preparing for defense? Should I be smoking their jungle and aggressing on them? And supports just have that problem in the very early game, right? Because they don't have like a linear, like, okay, farm the lane. If I'm getting aggressed on, live, whatever. So it's just like, you have a lot more options in the early game.
For sure. Okay, so we're going to take some questions from Twitch here. This question comes from Chronodog. He is a 3800 MMR player. He says, what do you think about the English-Spanish language barrier that I run into nearly every game? Do they believe some sort of region lock would be an improvement? Or do we believe some region lock would be an improvement? Or maybe make it too long to find games? I know what you're going to say. Can I say what you're going to say? Yep, the chat wheel automatically translates into any language that they set as their preferred language. So use the chat wheel. You really don't need to communicate much more than the chat wheel. Pings are a great way of communicating that have no language, and the chat wheel automatically does that. I don't get mad at the quote unquote Peruvians as they've been labeled. I know it's not just Peru that we're dealing with here.
Every game has that, or every set of servers. Like when I used to play Chinese MMOs, it was like, oh, the Egyptians.
Oh, really?
And, yep. I used to play Conquer Online, and everyone was like, man, the Egyptians on my server. And but like really, they were just like, oh, like they don't speak English, because it was just a bunch of like racist 13-year-olds that don't know better.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, you definitely summed up what I said. Mm-hmm. I'm very anti-region locking too, as a fundamental thing. I think it's a slippery slope, I will say.
Yeah.
Because
I don't know. I like to play EU West sometimes. I'll be honest, because I
used to.
I play some EU West here and there, not a lot. And then sometimes, I mean, some of the custom games I have to go to like crazy ass servers to play. So I'm not so worried about that. I mean, in a perfect world, I could speak on mic with 4 other nice people who wanted to work together. But I will tell you that most of my issues do not even come with Spanish-speaking individuals. Most of my issues come with English-speaking individuals because there is no language barrier, and that's the problem. So
it's like I always say, right? I'd rather get flamed in a language I don't understand than a language I do understand, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like, and of course this is like, confirmation bias or whatever, selective memory, whatever logical fallacy you choose to apply to this situation. But I get so many games ruined by people that are like English speaking, clearly NA, that are yelling about Peruvians. And they're like, oh, my team 3/5 Peru, and of course I'm the one that he's deemed not Peru.
Bad? Why are they?
I mean, they're not, but it's just like a scapegoat.
What makes
them
bad at the game? Just like, I understand the language barrier thing, but I mean, they're just as good as us, right? They're in our MMR.
I mean, there are like, I don't want to like describe all these issues at length, but I know part of it is that they tend to skew younger, and a lot of it is like LAN culture, where people are with their friends and their friends are watching, so they like want to play like the stylish mid and make big plays. That's like a problem in SEA too, apparently. And this is just me speaking from things I've heard from friends that like have played on Peru servers or SEA servers, etc. So I could be very wrong. I could just be spewing nonsense. But that is a thing. Also, like, since LAN, you pay by the hour, or if you're in like a LAN cafe, then like that makes you want to rush games down sometimes. And people that are younger tend to just be more annoying. Most of the people that you hear yelling about Peruvians are like 14-year-olds on NA that are like just like annoying. But yeah, I get games thrown all the time because somebody's like, "Oh, Peruvians on my team don't deserve to win," and then they just throw. And it's like they're just trying to play the game, dude. Like, just because they speak Spanish, it doesn't like affect your life, right? Just play Dota 2.
Yeah, first and foremost, like, I'm not saying like Chrono Dog, your question, I'm not saying anything, but first and foremost, it's just like superbly racist for people to be like these goddamn Peruvians, and it pisses me off. The language barrier though is an issue, but chat wheel pings. I don't even use the chat wheel, but with pings, I mean, you can get everything you need done.
I use definitely chat wheel though.
I've never used chat wheel. I find that if I like ping, I'm in trouble or something like that, like they're gonna get it. Or like if I ping my tower and write like 4 on the mini map, like I'll scribble on the mini map. I don't know. Yeah. That type thing. Next Twitch question is from AKA Dota, Jordan Hansen. He's 4200 MMR. He asks, where does Ursinity get his cool guy glasses?
My local optician. Actually, they're Mark by Mark Jacobs.
Really? What did those set you back there?
A couple $100. It was worth it though. I mean, I think a couple $100.
Those are styling, my friend.
I
wish they were anti-glare though, because I don't even know what your eyes look like. They're just
my eyes are great. My eyes are my greatest asset. There's a picture on Twitter.
You're not gonna take your glasses off so we can see.
Oh. I mean, you're not gonna be able to see my eyes like deeply. I also, fun fact, I have what's called sectoral heterochromia, and my eyes are like blue, but I have a brown spot in one of them in my right eye, I think.
You don't need to explain sectoral heterochromia to me. I know exactly what you meant by that.
Yeah, so that's that. Yeah, but everybody, my eyes are one of my better assets, and they get squandered on stream because I have glare. Because I have 2 bright screens with white blocks. But such is life.
Another Twitch question. This one's from War Yoshi. He says, this patch simultaneously feels snowbally, jungle changes making it hard to catch up, and very, very slow. Shrines making high ground even harder. Do you think one or the other is more prevalent, or is it just that the metal is unsettled right now? Just that the meta is unsettled?
I think that's a part of it. I think it's becoming settled, and people are kind of realizing like, oh, hey, Jug's still good, Shadow Demon's still good, Illusions are a little worse, but still really good. The snowball thing is definitely affected by shrines, that's for sure. People are allowed to make like really bold actions, and then it's like, okay, well, we did a 4-man gank, we got 1 kill, and then we're all low, but who cares? We'll just go shrine, and you get more efficiency out of the shrine because you have 4 people. So it is kind of snowbally. The slow aspect is also affected by just the fact that like people have good talents at like 20, 25. So some heroes are just delaying games more. Like Puck, it's really hard to push into a level 25 Puck because he has an orb that goes all the way down the entire lane, and he probably has spell amp by this point. So like you just can't push a lane, stuff like that. So it is a little slow, but you know, whatever. I think it'll settle down like officially in pretty soon.
Oh, sorry. Cool Guy Glasses was not from Jordan Hansen. That was from 2-0 Inside.
It was an appreciated question, by the way. I know Jordan Hansen was thinking about that question.
Yeah,
he has great admiration for
cool.
Me and all things me. But yeah. So I think it'll settle and get a little more refined as it goes on. But I think it's in the process of settling now, right?
For sure. I think it's in the process of. I feel like it is. God, like Waryoshi is saying exactly what I've been saying. That it snowballs to a halt. Like the snowball hits a concrete wall, and then you have to climb over it by doing a human pyramid. I would be okay with it if they made it so you couldn't teleport on shrines. I would be absolutely fine with that.
Or what if? How about this? What if you could only teleport to shrines when either they were full or weren't full, one or the other? That would be a cool mechanic. If it was like, okay, only when the shrine is full can you TP to it. So if you use the shrine, that means you can't TP to it, and for like the next 5 minutes. How about that? That's a pretty cool change.
That you can only TP to it every once in a while.
Well, so like let's say it's 30 seconds, nobody's used a shrine yet. You can TP to a shrine with a TP scroll, right? But then if at 2 minutes somebody uses the shrine, then you can't use the shrine until it's refilled at like whatever it is, 7 minutes or something.
Oh. Do you want a job at Valve, kid? Because I've got some connections and you've got the ideas. I like that. I like that a lot. Let's go ahead and take another call-in question. This time it is from
Bear River.
Kumamizu's MMR is drumroll please, Ursi. Drumroll please, Ursi. Drumroll please. There we go. Yeah.
I have a push to talk on, so I can't bang on my desk.
Kuma's MMR is 1300. Kuma, what is your question?
Yep, still 1300. Thanks for having me, guys.
Of course.
If you could add an item to the game, similar to the rune question from last week, what would it be? And if that's too not enough notice, how would you rework an item to make it more interesting?
Oh, that's plenty of notice. I already know. Ursi, you go first. Great question, by the way, Kuma. Thank you.
Yeah, this is a good question. There's another one kind of like the last week question that I kind of wish I had thought of at length.
It's good.
But Roland, I feel like you have an answer already. So if you'd like to go,
talking about it forever.
I have to think.
I hate dead end items. Okay, for instance, items that are super awesome that feel like they could, like for instance, I don't know. I never thought Dragon Lance would go anywhere, I guess, and then I was happily surprised to see Hurricane Pike. I never thought Orchid would go anywhere, and I was happily surprised to see Bloodthorn. I feel like next up is Aether Lens. Let's do something cool with Aether Lens. As in a combination of Aether Lens plus... God, what's a Helm of Dominator? Helm of Dominator has become a dead-end item once again.
No.
Yes,
no. See,
it's a dead-end item.
But both of those items are so good.
Put them together, make it an 8,000 cost item, and call it Helm of the Aether Helm. And it allows you to dominate an enemy hero for 3 seconds using all their spells or something. You know what I mean? Like, that's my item idea, and it would be cool.
See,
combination. I like it.
So if I had to rework an item, I think... previous to 7.0, I would have said Rod of Atos. But now the rework on Atos is great. I would like to see Mute added to something other than Silver Edge. But then again, Silver Edge is, like, super good. Yeah, I really I'm not creative enough for this kind of question. I think if I had to do something,
Rework an
I
item.
would-
Wouldn't you rework raindrops?
Well, that would just nerf them. I feel like nerfing is not reworking. I would maybe rework Mask of Madness to have an alternate mode that affects spellcasting. So it would kind of be, I don't think there's anything else. Kind of like Morphling, like how his ability changes if he's in strength or if he's in an agi mode, adaptive strike.
Sure.
I think it'd be like that, except for...
Isn't that what Aghanim Scepter does?
Well, what do you mean?
Kind of what Aghanim Scepter does. Am I right?
No, not at all. Aghanim Scepter Morphling? No, okay, so
No, I'm
Mask of
saying
Madness...
Aghanim Scepter like changes
Oh,
the
okay.
hero's ability.
Well, so how about this? Like, what if Mask of Madness, you could like go into the spellcaster mode, and instead of affecting your attack speed, it would affect like CDR for a temporary amount of time. So you would temporarily have lower CDR for like for all your abilities, and then the CDR wouldn't carry over. So you couldn't abuse it and just like click it before casting your ult, and then suddenly have like low cooldown ult. But you could do it in like, let's say you're in a 10-second fight, and now Venge can get 2 stuns off instead of just 1 because she used her Mask of the Aether or whatever.
Mask of the Aether.
Mask of Energy, because
Oh,
there's no
that's
Aether Lens
cool.
component. And like, I feel like that'd be stupid and like way OP on certain heroes, or just absolutely terrible. But I think that could be interesting.
Okay, how
that's
about
really my
this?
only cop-out answer.
How about this? You take Black King Bar, and then you take like a Crimson Guardy type of item. So basic Black King Bar blocks all magic damage, right?
Well, no, it doesn't. I mean, yeah, sure.
We're just gonna say it blocks all magic damage.
It does. I think you're right.
Okay. And then you create another item that blocks all physical damage for 10 seconds. Okay? Similar to Black King Bar.
Yeah.
And what you do is it's a toggle, okay? That they share the same cooldown, and you can either decide to and when they share the same cooldown, and they both also have the charges that go from 10 seconds to 9 seconds to 8 seconds to 7 seconds to 6 seconds to 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And you get to decide based on double tapping it if you want 100% physical resist or 100% magical resist.
Huh. That's interesting. I feel like that would also be too good. Just because, like, then you could selectively be like, okay, I'm getting gone by PA, so I'm going to do this. Or, oh, I'm getting gone by Zeus, I could do this. And, like, that would
But you
make
have
it
to
so
toggle
every
it,
time.
and the cooldown and the charge gets lower.
Yeah. No, I don't think that's a bad idea. I mean, that's basically Ghost Scepter, though.
Yeah, it would involve a Ghost Scepter and a BKB, and
You could just have a Blade Mail, and then, like, it doesn't do either of those things, but it returns it all regardless.
Yeah, I feel like, and Blade Mail, another dead end item. Let's put Blade Mail and Aether Lens together.
I feel like you're thinking about these items fundamentally wrong, right?
I know
because
that Sumail bought the Blade Mail as 6th item against the Sniper of no one and won the game, and it was awesome, and it's a cheap item, and maybe it doesn't need an outlet. So
think about it this way, right? Like Aether Lens and Blade Mail, especially Blade Mail, though. Blade Mail scales with the other heroes in the game, right? So it is just as good at 60 minutes, if not better at 60 minutes than it is at 20 minutes, right? Even though it's a dead-end cheap item.
Orchid scales.
I didn't say Orchid, did I? HOD.
You didn't say Orchid, but I'm saying I'm saying that in the same way, Orchid scales with the 30% damage. You know what I mean?
So when I think of a dead-end item, I think of an item like a casual Morbid Mask. It's like, okay, well, whatever.
Or something like that.
Or like a Bracer or a Null. It's like, yeah, sure, I mean, I could build a Veil, but, whatever. It's like 80 minutes. But Blade Mail is just going to scale indefinitely. Like, it's always a valuable slot item. When I think of items that are just dead-end, it's like, oh, God, I have a medallion in my inventory at 60 minutes. Like, why? Right? But even that, like, you can build a Solar Crest, which is fine. But, like, Aether Lens is not a dead-end item. Like, on one level, yeah, you're like, oh, boy, I have a 2,200 gold item in my inventory, 2,700, whatever it is, in my inventory because I'm playing Tinker. But, it's still really good. Like, just because it's cheap doesn't mean its value diminishes. I think if you wrap it up into, like, a really good item, it becomes too good.
Well, we need 2 good items just so these slugfests end.
No, it makes you make hard decisions, right? Like if you're playing Tinker, who I think is like one of the best Aether Lens carriers, like almost unequivocally, he's one of the best, like easily top 3.
Of course, Aether Lens plus Ags is ridiculous.
Yeah, and if you made it so that it builds into something, Tinker would just be way too good. Or like Timbersaw is a good Aetherlands carrier. Like he would just be too good. So it
Not
kind
if
of needs that pressure, right? Because you have to make that hard decision. If you're playing Tinker, you're like, okay, I have my 6 slots. I have Bloodstone, Blink Dagger, BOT, Aetherlands, Aghanims, and a Scythe
It's
or a
time for the
Dagon.
game to end anyway. Let Tinker end the game then, for God's sake. We've been playing this game for too long.
No, I mean, because you can easily get those items in like 45 minutes, like 40 minutes probably, right? So in very many games, the game is not going to be over.
Well, then with Aether Helm, it would stop all that. Or whatever, another item.
Yeah,
They'd
we'll just have
balance
to get
it. They'd balance it. Kuma, what do you think? Do you have any ideas? Have you thought of this?
Yeah, I was thinking about it a little bit, and I was thinking about adding another type of ward that might cost a little bit less, but instead of giving vision, it would just have an AoE that would ping when an enemy hero walks into it. Like it wouldn't identify who the hero is, but as soon as they enter it, not leave it, it would
Like
ping.
a scan.
It's like a
Yeah,
tripwire.
exactly.
It's like a tripwire, dude. It's a tripwire ward.
And it would ping invis, but again, it wouldn't identify who it is. So
And you wouldn't
have to
even know if they're
process
invis. Yeah.
Exactly.
Dude, that's a brilliant idea.
I mean, it's a brilliant idea. That'd be like the most OP item, though, in the entire world.
There would have to be like 3 of them. It would have to be like smoke cooldown level, and you wouldn't start with 3. It would have to be. It would have to be like you could. I don't know. It'd have to be a long cooldown to buy them, and they'd have to probably more expensive. Probably like 300 for one of these. 300 gold for one of these.
So just
That's
to
cool
change this,
though.
it's a cool idea. I think maybe I would alter this a little. What if it was literally a trip mine or tripwire, and like it only affected like a straight line, so you could put it on like one ramp, and you only got like let's say like you said like smoke cooldown level whatever, or you got like let's say 1 every 5 minutes or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or alternatively, if it was like scan radius, what if you made it so that it has charges? So it'd be like, all right, it can detect 5 heroes going back and forth. It can detect 1 hero every 30 seconds. And that means you're going to get, theoretically, right, whatever, like 2.5 minutes out of it. And then it's just going to fade. Or you could make it so that, like, it works, but it's visible if you come, kind of like a Techie's Mine. Like, it's visible if you come within 175 units of it or something. I feel like it's an interesting idea, that's for sure. But scan kind of makes it a little obsolete.
That is an interesting idea.
It's interesting. It's a better answer than either of ours.
It is. The 3 of us, I want to talk about the biggest dead end item as made aware to us by Twitch, which is Poor Man's Shield. Kuma, what would you do with Poor Man's Shield if you were to upgrade Poor Man's Shield into something else?
It's called selling it.
No.
You know what? I was gonna say that sarcastically, but honestly, I'm not sure what I would do stat-wise. I might make it.
What does it upgrade to? What does it do? What you're a brilliant mind here for innovation. What would you do with Poor Man's Shield?
Well, I mean, I like to say I'm innovative with time. I'm not sure how good I am on the spot.
On the spot. It pairs with Aether Lens and
mask. Helm of the Poor Man. Got it.
Helm of the Poor Man.
It makes you get less gold every time you get a kill.
Yeah, you know what? That's basically.
But you get more XP
for the past 2 items.
Oh, that's cool. When wielding,
it's too big of a thought right now. What's up?
I was just contemplating. Okay, Ursi,
Roland
what would you
reacting
do?
to my great suggestion. What if you had an item that was like you said, like Poor Man's, whatever, like Sword of the Poor Man. And it was like a sword shield combo or something. I mean, I don't care about the aesthetic of the item, but basically its effect is like, you put in whatever it is, 500, 700 gold, and it makes it so it's toggleable. And you can either get a little bit more gold for killing things, like
That's a good idea. Or a little more experience.
I was gonna call it the welfare shield, but I feel like that's offensive. But it's either you get a little bit of extra money, a la Midas, or you can toggle it and then get more XP but less gold, right? So it's either you get more gold and less XP, or more XP and less gold.
The toggle would have to have cooldown. Like you couldn't just be toggling back and forth, be like, I need gold, bam, toggle. I need experience, bam, toggle. That's a good idea.
You couldn't do it like while killing a camp. You couldn't be like, all right, I killed the potato with the gold thing on, and then I killed the tomato with the XP thing on. Like that wouldn't be fair.
Okay, here's my suggestion. So you know how just a stout shield, a ring of health, and a vit booster makes a vanguard? What if a Poor Man's Shield, a ring of health, and a vit booster made a pan guard? and it was
Okay.
slightly
It covers
better
your
than
whole
a
body.
Vanguard because
Yeah.
it's 300 gold more than a
I do
Vanguard.
I do legitimately think like it's just a logical thing that both Poor Man's Shield and Stout Shield should both be able to build into a Vanguard. Like that's just my opinion, and it makes Jug a little too good mid. But other than that, like I think it's fair.
What do you do with that? Maybe Quell builds with Poor Man's Shield, and it's like a spiky shield.
Yeah, but that seems like such a I don't know.
I was actually thinking if there's an item, sort of sticking with the meta of talent trees, that sort of thing. What if there's an item that sort of reduced respawn time? Because that's sort of what the talent trees are getting to right now.
Bloodstone. It'd be
Bloodstone.
Got that.
it would yeah,
Yeah,
it'd be a bit much.
it would be a
because you
bit
could
much.
just
Yeah.
anything like that. So we're seeing that right now, and I realize we want to get to more questions, but I feel like we're seeing
That's
that right
it.
now.
No, this is it.
With
We're done.
okay, cool. Then I can ramble.
No,
so
you can't though, because I've got a job interview that I've got to go to.
Okay. So anyway, let's the thing we're seeing right now is things with unique modifiers are doubling up. So like CDR is doubling up with CDR talents, right? So we're seeing people get Octarine and a CDR talent, or things that have spell amp, like people can get Aether Lens and a spell amp talent, and it's just becoming excessive. So in that vein, I think if we saw like minus respawn time doubling up with people with minus respawn time talents, like you could theoretically get like this item and then also have the minus 50 seconds respawn timer thing on Lone Druid and be up like in 10 seconds all the time. So I'd be worried about that.
The Lone Druid being up all the time. Hey, Kuma, thank you for your question. That's thought-provoking one, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be like, this would be my item idea. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, guys. See you next week.
See you next week. Okay. Ursinity, I'm going to close this out. Those questions were good. So you can find us, let's see here. You can Gmail is defenseofthepatients@gmail.com. You can go to defenseofthepatients.com to find our shows. You can also go to YouTube /.ptv1 to catch all the latest replay reviews, all the latest Proud Lonely Druid guides, all the Theorycraft stuff. You can go to twitch.tv /.ptv to tune in live to this show that is recorded on Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern. Give us questions, email us questions, tell Cyphus that you want to be on the show next week and show up. Ask questions in Twitch, however you want to do it. You can also leave a review on iTunes where it helps us bigly. Having those reviews are huge, and it makes us much more noticeable. Ursi, am I missing anything?
Twitter, I'm at Ursinity. The show is at @DotP_show. You could follow the show for show stuff. You can follow me for Korean pop music and Dota. I will answer any and all questions happily. It just so happens that I tweet more actively about the stuff I don't talk about on podcasts for hours and hours a week.
For sure. Patreon?
We can say that. Patreon.com/defenseofthepatients. Discord.gg/.p. Discord.gg/.p.
Our Defense of the Patients for the Goosh, where you're going to gush on Goosh, and he's an awesome guy, and definitely go check out Our Defense of the Patients. The shows are posted there. You can talk about them. It's a little forum. It's Reddit. I don't know if you've heard of it. We have our own subreddit, Jay Gooshi. And I guess without any further ado, this is Roland for Ursinity, rolling out.